The bustling city was alive with its usual rhythm, horns blaring, pedestrians rushing, and street vendors calling out to potential customers. Among the throng of faces, a young woman named Emma found herself lingering outside a small cafe, her stomach rumbling as she contemplated her next move. With only a few crumpled bills in her pocket, each decision felt monumental. The weight of her financial struggles bore down on her, and the impending sense of doom lingered as she glanced around at the busy life unfolding before her. It was then she noticed him, a man sitting cross-legged on the sidewalk, clutching a worn-out cardboard sign that read, "Anything helps." His clothes were tattered, mismatched layers that told a story of hardship. Despite his unkempt appearance, there was a gentleness in his eyes that caught Emma off guard. They held a depth of experience that could only be understood through years of trials and tribulations. As she approached, Emma's heart raced. She had learned to be cautious in the city, especially when it came to engaging with strangers. Yet something about him drew her in. Maybe it was the way he smiled softly at passers-by or how he seemed to exude an air of quiet dignity despite his circumstances. Emma hesitated for a moment, weighing her options. She could easily slip into the cafe and grab a cheap coffee or perhaps a pastry, small indulgences that would momentarily satisfy her own hunger. But as she stood there, wrestling with her thoughts, she felt an overwhelming urge to connect with him. Reaching into her pocket, she pulled out her last $20 bill, her lifeline for the rest of the week. In that instant, time seemed to freeze, everything else faded away as she made her decision. With a deep breath, she knelt down beside him and extended the bill toward him. "Here," she said softly, feeling both vulnerable and empowered. "I hope this helps." The man looked up at her, surprise washing over his face like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Are you sure?" he asked quietly, his voice raspy yet sincere. Emma nodded firmly, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension as she relinquished what little security she had left. "I'm sure. It's just money." They shared a moment of understanding, two souls temporarily intertwined by circumstance. He accepted the bill with gratitude etched deeply in his features and looked directly into her eyes. In that fleeting exchange, they exchanged more than just currency, they shared hopes and dreams wrapped in compassion. As Emma stood up to leave, their eyes locked one last time before she slipped back into the crowd. She felt lighter somehow, buoyed by the act of kindness amidst her own struggles. Little did they both know that this fleeting encounter would set off a ripple effect of change, one that would resonate through the years ahead. As Emma walked away from the encounter, she felt a mix of emotions swirling within her. The simple act of giving away her last $20 had ignited a flicker of hope, not only for the man she had just met but for herself as well. It was as if that moment had lifted a weight off her shoulders, allowing her to breathe a little easier despite the challenges that lay ahead. In the days that followed, Emma found herself reflecting on that brief interaction more often than she expected. Each time she faced her own struggles, whether it was counting coins for bus fare or skipping meals to save money, she recalled the gentleness in the man's eyes and the grateful smile he had bestowed upon her. His reaction lingered in her mind, serving as a reminder that even in dire circumstances, kindness could bridge the divide between two very different lives. Meanwhile, for the homeless man, whom Emma would later learn was named David, her gesture had a profound impact. That $20 wasn't just a monetary gift, it represented hope and humanity. It allowed him to purchase a warm meal and a few necessary items to help him through the day. More importantly, it rekindled his faith in people. After months of feeling invisible and unheard, he found solace in the kindness of a stranger who saw him not just as someone in need, but as a person deserving of care and respect. Over the following weeks, David began to use that experience as a catalyst for change in his life. Instead of succumbing to despair, he found renewed determination to seek shelter and support services. He started visiting local organizations aiming to help those experiencing homelessness, gradually building relationships with individuals who encouraged him to work on himself. It wasn't an easy road, but every time he felt like giving up, he thought of Emma and her selfless act of kindness. Emma, too, underwent subtle changes in her own life as she carried the memory of that day forward. She became more attuned to the struggles of others around her. Often, she would volunteer at local shelters during weekends, helping to serve meals or organize donations. Each act of service felt like a tribute to David and a way to honor that brief but meaningful connection they had shared. The ripple effect of their encounter continued to shape their lives in unexpected ways. Emma's small gesture instilled in her a sense of purpose beyond her own struggles, while David's journey toward stability blossomed from that fleeting moment of compassion. They were both navigating their own paths, yet somehow intertwined by the memory of that $20 bill, an unassuming piece of paper that had transformed into something much more significant. A lifeline that fueled hope and change for two souls yearning for connection in a chaotic world. A decade passed and life moved on with its incessant ebb and flow. Emma found herself standing at the crossroads of her aspirations, a far cry from the uncertain woman who had made that meaningful connection years ago. Building on the hope she had fostered that day, she enrolled in college, pursuing a degree in social work, a field that mirrored her growing commitment to helping others. Emma's experiences had equipped her with the resilience necessary to navigate both academic and personal challenges, resulting in a deeper understanding of the struggles faced by those less fortunate. During her studies, Emma dedicated countless hours to internships at local shelters, striving to provide support and resources for those experiencing homelessness. Each encounter enriched her insight into the complexities surrounding poverty and compassion. She developed initiatives focused on community awareness, advocating for systemic change while cultivating genuine connections with individuals in need. Though she faced hurdles along the way, tight deadlines, emotional exhaustion, or financial constraints, Emma's resolve remained unshaken. The memory of that $20 bill lingered as a constant reminder of how a simple act could ignite significant transformations. Meanwhile, David embarked on his own journey of self-discovery and recovery following their fateful encounter. Inspired by Emma's kindness, he took advantage of the resources available through shelters and social programs. With time and effort invested in various workshops and therapeutic services, he gradually rebuilt his life. He secured stable housing through a local initiative which not only provided him with shelter but also vital skills for securing employment. As he settled into this new chapter, David sought job opportunities in the area, motivated by a desire to give back to the community that had supported him during his darkest days. Through persistence, he landed a position at a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting those struggling with homelessness. Working alongside like-minded individuals rekindled his passion for people. He dedicated his time to facilitating outreach programs that mirrored the compassion Emma had shown him so long ago. The lives of Emma and David began to blossom in unexpected ways over the years. Emma graduated with honors from her program and landed a fulfilling job as a social worker at a community resource center. David found satisfaction in his work and became known in his community for his advocacy and understanding approach toward helping others. Yet despite their distinct paths, both were guided by an underlying connection, one sparked by that single moment of generosity. Emma often pondered David's journey, hoping he was thriving, wishing she could see him again to express the depth of gratitude she felt for inspiring her life choices. Unbeknownst to both of them, fate was already orchestrating their paths to cross once again, two lives enriched by one shared experience that changed everything. They were living reminders that even years later, hope can intertwine destinies in profound ways. David's journey after that pivotal encounter with Emma was anything but easy, yet it was marked by resilience and determination. In the immediate aftermath of receiving the $20, he felt a spark of hope igniting within him. It wasn't merely the financial help that made a difference, it was the acknowledgement of his humanity that resonated deeply. For months, David had lived on the streets, feeling invisible to society, but Emma's kind gesture restored his faith in people and prompted him to take action toward a better life. Initially, he focused on meeting basic needs, securing a warm meal and finding a safe place to sleep each night. With the $20 in hand, he visited a nearby diner where he bought a hearty meal, savoring every bite as if it were a feast. That night, instead of sleeping rough on the sidewalk, he sought temporary shelter at a local organization that offered beds for those in need. It was here that David began to understand the importance of community support and resources designed to uplift individuals like himself. Over time, David embraced the programs offered by various shelters and outreach organizations. He enrolled in workshops aimed at developing life skills and job readiness. He learned about financial literacy, resume building, and interview techniques, skills he had previously thought were beyond his reach. Each session built his confidence and equipped him with tools to navigate the world outside his previous circumstances. As months turned into years, David began to see tangible changes in his life. He secured stable housing through a transitional program that helped individuals move from homelessness into permanent living situations. This achievement was monumental. It represented not only physical security but also emotional stability. With a roof over his head, David could focus on rebuilding connections with friends and family who had worried about him during his time on the streets. In his newfound home, David discovered an unexpected passion for helping others facing similar challenges. Inspired by Emma's initial kindness, he sought employment with nonprofit organizations focused on aiding homeless individuals. His unique perspective allowed him to connect on a deeper level with clients who felt lost and hopeless. He shared his story openly, how one small act of generosity had transformed his outlook on life and encouraged others to embrace hope and pursue change. David also became involved in community advocacy efforts aimed at raising awareness about homelessness and the systemic issues contributing to it. He spoke at events and collaborated with local leaders to foster discussions around effective solutions. His voice became an instrument for change as he highlighted the importance of compassion in addressing social issues. Through this journey of self-discovery and empowerment, David found purpose in advocating for those who felt voiceless, a mission sparked by that fateful day when Emma gave him her last $20. As each year passed, he carried her memory with him as both a guiding light and a reminder of how transformative kindness can be in shaping lives. Unbeknownst to David, Emma was also pursuing her path in social work with similar fervor. Both unaware that their lives would soon intersect once again under extraordinary circumstances that would highlight their shared commitment to making a difference in the world around them. The air was crisp on the day of the annual community outreach event, a gathering designed to raise awareness about homelessness and showcase support services available in the city. Emma, now a confident social worker with years of dedication behind her, stood at a booth displaying pamphlets and resources. As she interacted with attendees, sharing insights about her work, she couldn't shake off a profound sense of purpose that had grown from the seeds of kindness she had once planted. Across the venue, David was setting up his own station representing the nonprofit organization where he worked. He had been invited to share his personal story as part of a panel aimed at educating the public on the realities of homelessness. As he looked around, he felt an undercurrent of excitement mixed with anxiety, a familiar blend of emotions ignited by the knowledge that his journey had come full circle. As the event progressed, attendees transitioned between booths, listening to speakers and engaging in discussions. David took a moment to observe the crowd, searching for eager faces ready to learn. While he spoke about hope and path to recovery, how he turned his life around thanks to compassionate individuals who believed in him, he noticed someone standing at the edge of the crowd. Emma, too absorbed in her own presentation and conversations, finally stepped outside her comfort zone to explore other booths. Their paths entwined in that crowded space as she moved closer to listen to David's speech. She recognized certain phrases he used about resilience and kindness, ideas that resonated deeply with her own journey. In a split second, their eyes locked across the distance. Time seemed to freeze for both of them. The world around them blurred into insignificance as Emma's heart raced upon realizing who stood before her. It was David, the man she had helped with her last $20 so many years ago. When David finished speaking, he scanned the audience one more time until his gaze returned to Emma. She stepped away from her booth and walked toward him, each step heavy with nostalgia and emotion. As he approached her, speechless for a moment, they shared an all-encompassing smile filled with warmth and recognition. "Emma," he finally said, his voice a mixture of disbelief and gratitude. "David," she exclaimed, almost choking on her words with joy. "I can't believe it's you." They embraced tightly, a gesture that encapsulated years of struggle, perseverance, and mutual inspiration in mere seconds. All those years they had thought of each other, never knowing how dramatically their lives had changed or how united their journeys remained. Their conversation flowed effortlessly as they exchanged stories of revival and commitment to their respective causes. Emma learned about David's advocacy work and efforts to uplift others struggling with homelessness in turn. David heard about Emma's experiences in social work and how she continuously advocated for systematic changes affecting marginalized communities. As they stood together, surrounded by a sea of faces aiming for change, both Emma and David felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Not just for that single moment they shared 10 years prior, but for everything it had taught them about humanity's capacity for kindness. Their reunion wasn't just serendipitous, it was meticulously orchestrated by fate, a testament to how one act of compassion could echo through time and guide two individuals towards shared purpose. From that point forward, they intended not only to honor their past but to amplify their impact together in creating change within their community. In the aftermath of their emotional reunion, Emma and David found themselves reflecting on the nature of kindness and its ability to reshape lives. They sat together at a quiet corner table during the outreach event, the noise of the crowd fading into a soft hum as they absorbed the significance of their shared experiences. Emma couldn't help but marvel at how one simple act, a fleeting decision made in a moment of desperation, had led to such profound change. "I never imagined that giving away my last $20 could lead to this," she said, gesturing between them. It felt like I was just trying to do something good in a world that often felt overwhelming. But it turned out to be so much more. David nodded in agreement, his eyes glistening with understanding. You gave me hope when I felt invisible, he replied. That act of kindness reminded me that there are people who care, people who see us, not just our circumstances. He paused, reflecting on all he had overcome since that day. It's incredible how a single moment can ripple through time like this. As they exchanged thoughts on compassion's far-reaching impact, they began to consider the myriad of connections formed through kindness within their community. Each encounter, no matter how small, had the potential to uplift someone or ignite change. David recounted stories of individuals he had met along his journey who were similarly affected by simple gestures, a warm meal offered by a stranger, a smile shared during difficult times, or even just someone taking the time to listen. Emma shared her experiences working with clients at the resource center. She detailed instances where she witnessed people transition from despair to empowerment through support and encouragement from others. These moments reinforced her belief that everyone has the capacity for kindness and that it can spark transformation not only in those receiving help but also for those giving it. They discussed how society often overlooks the power of empathy amidst its fast-paced life and digital distractions. In an age where interactions can feel superficial, Emma emphasized the importance of creating authentic connections, whether through direct engagement or simply by showing up for someone in need. Imagine if everyone took just one moment each day to connect with someone else, David mused thoughtfully. How many lives could we change? How many stories could we rewrite? Inspired by their reflections, Emma and David began brainstorming ideas for collaborative initiatives designed to cultivate kindness within their community. They envisioned workshops focused on empathy training, outreach events centered on storytelling, and campaigns aimed at raising awareness about homelessness through personal narratives. As they sketched out their plans, both felt invigorated by the possibilities ahead, their combined energies representing more than just two individual journeys. They embodied a mission fueled by hope and intention. Their experiences highlighted a universal truth: kindness is contagious, capable of nurturing humanity in ways that reverberate beyond immediate encounters. In this newfound partnership, Emma and David pledged to honor the initial connection that had brought them together 10 years ago by inspiring others to embrace compassion. It was a commitment not only to uplift those in need but also to foster a culture where acts of kindness become commonplace, transforming lives one interaction at a time in a world often desperate for connection and understanding. As Emma and David embarked on their collaborative initiatives, they began to witness the ripple effect of compassion extending beyond their immediate circle. They organized workshops in local schools, teaching students about empathy through interactive activities designed to engage young minds. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Children were eager to share their own stories of kindness, and many expressed a desire to make a difference in their communities. This initial outreach opened doors for conversations about homelessness and social responsibility that had previously been overlooked. One particular workshop stood out in their minds. They invited students to participate in an exercise where they would anonymously write letters to individuals experiencing homelessness. The letters were heartfelt, filled with messages of support, encouragement, and understanding. At the end of the session, Emma and David collected the notes and promised to distribute them through local shelters. The students' excitement was palpable as they realized that their words could inspire hope in someone's life. When the letters reached the shelters, the response from those who received them was profound. Many expressed feelings of being seen and valued for the first time in years, igniting a renewed sense of purpose among them. David visited one shelter after delivering the letters and witnessed firsthand how uplifting messages could transform someone's day. One recipient, a man named Marcus, shared how reading a letter from a child filled him with hope, reminding him that he still mattered despite his circumstances. These small yet significant gestures created a chain reaction within the community. Inspired by the kindness shown through the students' letters, many individuals began taking initiative in their own lives, organizing food drives or volunteering at local shelters. Emma and David soon found themselves at the center of this growing movement, with community members seeking guidance on how to contribute meaningfully. Recognizing that compassion can be contagious, Emma and David initiated a kindness challenge, encouraging people to perform acts of kindness within their daily routines and share their experiences online. This campaign quickly gained traction. Social media platforms buzzed with stories of generosity that spanned across neighborhoods. People began tagging each other, creating a network of kindness that spread like wildfire. The ripple effect extended beyond immediate actions. It fostered connections between diverse groups within the city, Neighbors who had never met before now collaborated on projects aimed at uplifting those in need. Each kind act inspired others to contribute their resources or time, cultivating an environment where everyone felt empowered to make a difference. As summer approached, Emma and David planned a community festival centered around celebrating kindness and compassion, a day dedicated not only to raising awareness about homelessness but also honoring those who had taken action within their community. They envisioned booths showcasing various organizations that provided support services while creating spaces for storytelling where individuals could share personal accounts of impact. On the day of the festival, laughter filled the air as families mingled alongside advocates working toward change together. Amidst games and activities designed for all ages, Emma took a moment to step back and observe what had blossomed from her initial act of generosity toward David so many years ago. A thriving culture rooted in empathy that had transformed lives across her city. In reflecting on this journey together, both Emma and David realized that compassion is not just an isolated event but rather an ongoing commitment. A ripple effect that continues to expand as others join in fostering kindness throughout humanity's interconnected fabric. Their paths may have merged by chance, but it was through persistent effort that they cultivated lasting change, one simple act inspiring countless others along the way. As Emma and David reflected on the journey they had embarked upon, it was clear that their individual stories intertwined beautifully to illustrate a powerful lesson. Kindness creates a ripple effect that goes far beyond the initial act. Their experiences highlighted the importance of compassion in a world that often feels disconnected and overwhelming. Emma thought back to that day in front of the cafe when she had made what seemed like a small decision, giving away her last $20. It's remarkable to think about how one moment can alter lives, she mused. What started as a simple gesture turned into a force that not only affected us but also inspired countless others. She realized that her initial act, triggered by empathy and a willingness to support another human being, had blossomed into an entire movement centered around kindness. David nodded in agreement, reflecting on his own transformation. "I spent so long feeling invisible and hopeless," he said. "But you showed me that there's strength in vulnerability, and your generosity became the catalyst for my recovery. Now I'm able to give back to those who feel unseen, just as I once did." His words encapsulated the mission they both shared, to uplift not only those who struggle but also to encourage others to recognize the power they possess within themselves. The work they achieved together over the years also illuminated another pivotal takeaway, the notion that everyone has something valuable to contribute, no matter their circumstances. The students who participated in their workshops proved just that. Through writing letters of encouragement and initiating kind deeds, they discovered their ability to foster hope in others. This realization empowered many community members to reflect on how they could contribute positively regardless of their resources. Additionally, Emma and David acknowledged how vital it was to create spaces where people could connect authentically, places where stories could be shared and heard without judgment. Their festival had not only allowed individuals from diverse backgrounds to come together but had also transformed them into allies working towards common goals. The emotional exchanges during storytelling sessions deepened relationships within the community and encouraged vulnerability, linking individuals through shared experiences. Importantly, they recognized the value of ongoing commitment toward compassion. One-off acts might inspire change, but sustained efforts nurtured lasting relationships and systemic improvements. They envisioned future collaborations where more outreach initiatives could cultivate environments of trust and empathy, constantly evolving with community needs. As this chapter unfolded, Emma and David remained resolute in their commitment to kindness as a driving force for positive change throughout their city. They understood that challenges would arise along the way. Society's complexities can be daunting, but they were fortified by belief in one another and shared passion for fostering goodwill. In closing, both Emma and David knew their journeys would continue to impact those around them immensely. Inspired by their story, the nagging certainty that any act of kindness can create profound changes, together they stood poised to shape humanity's narrative, one compassionate interaction at a time. Their story demonstrated that ripples of kindness do not merely fade, instead they combine into waves that have the potential to wash over communities with love and understanding. A reminder that each person weaves threads of connection into the fabric of society through simple acts of compassion.